What's good, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. I just dropped a mixtape. You guys already know. You guys are showing me massive support, kind of. I don't know. I love it though. Even if one person listens to it, I'm blessed. But I want to talk about the iPhone 8 Plus for a second. Okay, this is a phone that nobody really talks about. I don't even talk about unless I'm doing a comparison. And I think that's kind of an issue with this specific phone. There's not a lot of phones that Apple still sells at their stores that not a lot of people talk about. I mean, back in the day, the 6S Plus, those were, the flagships at the time. Even with the 7 and 7 Plus, Apple was still selling those up until last year or when the new iPhones came out. And I think even at that time, more people were talking about those phones than the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus. And I even did a video earlier this year, a couple months ago, I think, about why I think the iPhone 8 is underrated. And I feel like the iPhone 8 Plus is the same way. I feel the exact same way towards that phone. And I just have a couple reasons as to why that is the case in this video. But dude, there's billions of reasons as to why the iPhone 8 Plus is a good phone overall. But one of the weird things that's just so weird to me, that the iPhone 8 Plus, you can still buy brand new from the Apple store. It's a brand new older iPhone. So you don't even have to go and buy it from eBay or whatever the case is, go into a third party store. You can literally go into the Apple store. Most of them, at least in America, and I'm sure other countries as well, you can go into the Apple store and pick this phone up. It's one of the cheapest iPhones that Apple sells in their stores. And it's not like an iPhone 10 or iPhone 10s or even iPhone 7 or 7 Plus. Apple has discontinued those phones. You can't buy those from the stores anymore. Even the 10s, which is newer than the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus, you can't buy those from the Apple stores because that's just too competitive with the iPhone 11, 11 Pro, and 11 Pro Max. So Apple purposely does that, but you can still buy an iPhone 8 Plus from their stores, which is a humongous plus. It's cheaper. It's still super awesome build quality, has a lot going for it. But that's a huge advantage that you can just go straight into the Apple store and pick it up from there, which is awesome. Also, the price. The price is a humongous asset for this phone. First of all, it's much cheaper than a lot of other iPhones that Apple is selling, but also for what you're getting, including software support, all that, for $549, it's a better deal than a lot of phones that are being sold just outside of even Apple. I'm talking Android phones and all those other phones that are being sold, including those OnePlus options, Samsung's, all those. The iPhone 8 Plus is a very, very good phone still for that price that you're getting. It's not the best phone, of course. If you have more money to spend, you can get a much better phone. But for that price, for $549, there's not a lot of phones in the brand new market right now that you can get for $549 that is as good as the iPhone 8 Plus in a lot of ways. And because it's only a couple years old, the biggest advantage for this phone is the software updates. You're still going to be getting a ton of software support for this phone. This is supposedly one of the last phones with the home button, unless the SE2 does bring a home button. Apple, I think, is going to, keep this phone updated for a while. And if Apple kind of switches to their new layout of what they're doing, where you get full OS supports, full OS versions, but then a year of security updates that they're kind of doing right now, I think that's going to be an awesome thing, and I think that's going to be a huge asset for this phone. So whether Apple does it or not, you're still going to get a couple more years of software support out of this thing, which is really, really cool. And even just talking about the phones that are being sold in the Apple store, this phone is cheaper than the iPhone XR, but it's not that far off from the iPhone XR. It's really not missing much. In my opinion, the build quality is better on the iPhone 8 Plus than on the iPhone XR. When I feel the iPhone XR, I don't feel like it's a cheap phone, but when I have the iPhone 8 Plus on the other hand, that one just feels a little bit more premium, and I think that has a lot to do with the screen as well. The screen on the iPhone XR just isn't as good as the iPhone 8 Pluses. Both have True Tone displays. Of course, the iPhone XR has that gesture-based design, but the iPhone 8 Plus has that home button. It's not that big of a deal. It has Touch ID, which I personally do like, but that 1080p screen is just better than the iPhone XR's panel. Same True Tone, same everything. It's just a better display on the iPhone 8 Plus. Also, the dual camera setup on the iPhone 8 Plus versus the iPhone XR's single camera layout. So, maybe the quality is a little bit better on the XR, but you do have that dual camera setup with that telephoto lens on the iPhone 8 Plus, which, not a lot of people talk about. It still has portrait mode, and it's overall still a tremendous camera. And also, to kind of hit it off, man, two things: the performance is still great on this phone. I don't think anybody really has ever complained about the performance of the phones with the A11 chips. I think people are complaining more about the iPhone 11 and 11 Pro and their RAM management issue than the performance of the iPhone 8 Plus. I think that's a humongous thing that the 8 Plus has going for it. You can easily go and, when I'm using my 8 Plus, it still feels like a very snappy device. I don't feel like I'm missing out on performance really. It's still a very, very fast phone, no doubt, and it's not much slower than my iPhone 11 or my iPhone 11 Pro. I've done comparisons and full speed comparisons between those phones, and yeah, the 11 might be a little bit faster here and there, but it's definitely not that big of a difference if you're coming from like an iPhone 6 or something like that. Like, it's still a very capable device, and it's only just a little bit behind of the iPhone 11. And also kind of looking at the future of this device, not only in software updates, but also in resale value. Used prices for the iPhone 8 Plus are pretty cheap now, but if you get it for $549, you're going to see less depreciation on it or in this phone than if you were to go get an iPhone 11 or 11 Pro, more so the 11 Pro. The 8 Plus won't fall in price as much. I don't think for the next couple of years. It'll probably go down a couple $100 versus like the 11 Pro. It'll go down like half the price and then like a little bit less than the next year and a little bit less the next year. So you'll see less depreciation because it is an older phone on the iPhone 8 Plus than if you're going to get a brand new iPhone 11 Pro or something like that. So the fact that you can get a brand new iPhone 8 Plus for that price is super cool, and I really, really appreciate Apple still selling the 8 Plus, and it's kind of a shame like not that many people talk about it or think it's still like a relevant device. I think Apple can definitely knock it out of the park. I think if you're looking for a phone that, is bigger in design, great build quality, great screen, software support, and it's an iPhone, I don't think you can go wrong with an iPhone 8 Plus, man. That price point of $549 is awesome, and it's super underrated, and I just think at the end of the day, it's super underrated, and more people should consider this a viable option, in my opinion. So that's pretty much it. The more and more I use this phone, I love it. If you want to pick up an iPhone 8 Plus, like I said, you can go into the Apple Store. I'll try to find the cheapest one on Amazon and link it down in the description below so you guys can get it from there and help support the channel at the same time. But that is pretty much it. If you guys have any other questions or anything, let me know in the comment section as well. Hit that like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. Every single subscriber that we get really does count, so it means so much if you guys could hit that. Also check out the other links down in the description as well. My Twitter, my Instagram, my second channel. All those links are linked down below. I'd really appreciate it if you guys could check it out. But more importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.